Hello everyone. We will be waiting for some more time and we shall wait for others to join in and we'll be starting the event at 2:05 p.m. Thank you. We'll be starting the event in the next 2 minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. The Intelligence Analytics Society at UT Dallas welcomes you all to the Resume Roadmap webinar. I'm Rakesh Balasubramaniam, the Vice President of IAS Club, and I'll be the presenter for this event. Firstly, I would like to walk you all through the flow of this event. Our speaker, Mr. Utsav Mehta, will be discussing a few topics such as building the resume, the importance of it, the ATS, the application timelines, along with us. Post that, we will have a question and answer session, a short one, following which we will be having the resume critiquing session and followed by another short round of question and answers. I would urge all attendees to shoot out their questions as and when they have, and our moderators Anne and Mehul will be taking it up during the question and answer round. I would like to share some information about our speaker, Mr. Utsav Mehta. He is a recent JSOM alumni and is currently working as a senior consultant at Genpact. As most of you all are aware, he has been helping the JSOM students right from 2018 with respect to building the resumes and also has a YouTube channel for the same. Personally, when I had approached him on LinkedIn for reviewing one of my resumes, I found him to be very approachable and extremely genuine because he wanted me to do better in my resume. So when I approached him on behalf of the IAS Club for this event, he was more than willing to share his experience and expertise with us. So I am extremely sure that at the end of this event, you all will be more than benefited in one or the other way. So IAS Club welcomes Mr. Utsav Mehta for this event. Over to you, Utsav.
Hello guys, thank you Rakesh for your kind words, and thank you Intelligence Analytics Society for having me here and giving me this opportunity. It is always great to give back to the society and to the school. So before starting the session, let me shed some light onto my little bit of background. So prior to coming here for masters, I came here in fall 2018, and before that I had around like 3 years of experience with me, and that was with TCS, and it was related to the data analytics and business intelligence domain. And I came here in fall 2018. So the first 2 semesters were pretty crucial for me, like understanding the coursework and what subjects to choose. So because like the first 2 semesters are your road to success for the internship program and for the full time. So try to take up the coursework that are too relevant to your career path, and that will help you to achieving your summer internship, to all the internships, and to the full time. So before starting, like I had chance, I grabbed a chance with Charles Schwab for my summer internship. Then for the fall, I had one offer, but I chose to be on the other side of the table. So I chose to be a graduate teaching assistant. I was the TA for like 4 courses, and it was quite relevant, and it was like with data analytics stuff. So it was a good exposure and experience to me. Then for the spring, I started like I had an internship with Sprint, and then I graduated recently in May 2020, and I joined Genpact with data analytics and data engineering domain as a senior consultant. So today we'll go with the resume roadmap. So I'll try to touch up each and every point with the resume, with the applications, when to start, from where to start, and if your questions are unanswered, please shoot out to the question and answer session, and we'll take up that things. So moving further, let's start the session. So the first session is about, the first slide is about the timeline, when to start. So what the best idea and the best timeline to start your applications would be for the fall internships, because like you can only start your internships after 2 long semesters. So start building your profile, use the societies, the student orgs that are helpful for building your profile, for resume critiquing. If you are from UTD, then you can use the career center, you can use the CMC, because they are pretty helpful in building a profile and critiquing the resumes. And also the best and the feasible way to reach is to reach out to your seniors for these things. Like they will be most approachable, and they have passed through this session, so they know how to deal with the resumes. So for summer internship, I would say that start your applications by, so your colleges start from August, so start it with September or October. So that is the best time. Before that, you have like a 1.5 months to build your profile, to build your resumes. So for summer internships, it's the best time. So most of the people get their internships, like at least get the calls in December or January. So I got my first call from Oriental Trading Company, and that was in December mid. So after that, I received a couple of calls, and I was able to convert just one. That was Charles Schwab. So keep that one thing in mind, that this is not the number game. So don't just keep on applying haphazardly and to each and every open applications you see, open positions you see. So it should be relevant to your career path and to your resume, to your goals. So yeah, so for summer, I would say start from September and October mid. So that is a good time. Then for the fall, I would say when you are doing your summer internships, start building your profile with the experience that you are getting in your summer internship. So for fall, you will have a good path, and you will be able to jot down your experience into the resume, and you can. I would say that I started my fall applications for the internship when I was interning with Charles Schwab. So that is not the case that you cannot apply when you are doing the internships. You can start applying when you are in the internship. You will have the problem statement, that what you are going to work on. You will get to know what tools and technologies you will be working on. So jot down everything into your resume about the experience and start applying for fall. And for the spring, I would say again the same thing, like as summer, you can start from the fall internship for the spring one. And so for the spring, my personal experience was when I got the chance for the summer, for the spring internship in Sprint. It was in New York, and I got the offer letter in October. So I completed my summer internship by August, and I was also applying for the fall internship, and I was also applying for the spring internship. So I got the offer letter in October. So try to do everything at a good pace and with all the experience mentioned and with all the relevancy on your resume. So, and also talking about the full-time offers. So I have many of my friends and working into big companies, and the big companies have their timeline to recruit the new hires into like September, October, November. So that is the case. So when you are when you are doing a fall internship, when you are applying for your spring internship, you also have to apply for your full-time offers, for full-time jobs. So I have heard people saying that, okay, let's keep like very less subjects in the last semester, less courses, and we'll have to give time into the full-time opportunities. But I think that is a myth. You start straight away when you think that you are ready. So this would be a good timeline. So if you guys have like, you want to write it down, you can jot down these things, that this is the good timeline to start applications and to land into your dream job. Yeah. Can we move ahead to the next slide? Okay, so let's start with the platforms, like from where you can start your applications, from where you can apply to the jobs. So I personally used 5 of them. So first is LinkedIn, then I used Glassdoor, Indeed, Handshake, and Monster. So these are the good platforms that you can start your applications with. And so I would suggest that please apply to those applications, like to those postings that are just 2 days old. Like, don't go and apply to the postings that are around a week old or a month old. So I would straight away say no, because it would be a good example to give. Like, if you click on a job posting that is around 3 or 5 days old, then if you go into that, then it will show that the job posting is like expired or something. I have had that personal experience with that. So please try to, there are a lot of filters on this platform, so you can use that filters and you can start your application. The first thing is, again, I'm telling that this is not the number game, so don't try to increase your numbers and like deal with your friends that I've applied to like 500 applications or 1,000 applications. No. So I got my first internship for the summer in about, like, I applied to 350 and I got one. So, and I know some of my friends who applied to 800 and 1,500 applications, and then they got like 2, 3 offers. But yeah, so this is not the number game. Try to be like, be truthful to yourself. This is not the number game, and be like, apply to those that are recently posted and that are actively hiring and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Can we move on to next? All right. So now that you have got the basic idea that why the platform and why the timeline was important, so we kept the 2 slides before, and now we can come up with the this thing, what is resume building. So what I would suggest is, for the resumes, I would just say that follow the star method. That is needed. That is the like best thing to apply into your resumes. This is the best thing. And for the star method, you have like this. Everybody should know what is the full form of star method. So it is, what is the situation you are into, like what is the problem statement of your internship, or whatever experience you had, or the academic projects you did. So, and what is the task? So you had the problem statement, that is your situation you are kept into. What task did you perform? What tools and technologies did you use? What is the action on that tools and technologies or on that task? And what is the result of this? So what I would suggest is, the end result should always be a numeric value. So for the resume, please don't be too generic in your resume that, yeah, okay, I'll give one example that it is, I have used Tableau in building the dashboards. So what can like a recruiter get from this generic line? Nothing, right? So everybody knows Tableau now. If you are into the data analytics line, everybody knows Tableau. So writing that you have used Tableau for building the dashboards, that will not take you anywhere. So you need to show something that you have given this to the experience, to the project, that, and you gain something from that. So that is one thing. And the resume should be one pager only. So obviously we are coming from, like, most of us are coming from India. So there we had that mentality that we can use 2 pager or 3 pager, but no, the resume here should be 1 pager. So the one thing I would like to share is, the recruiter has just 5 to 7 seconds to look at your resume. So if you have 2 pages of resume, he'll definitely not go on to the next page. So I think he would not definitely, like, not go even to the lower page of your resume. So try to be try to sum up everything into 1 page. So that would be the best option here to apply to your. That would be the best option to get your dream job, I would say. And okay, so let's talk about some tips and tricks. So what I would suggest is, so as I said, that avoid the generic descriptions into your resume. Second thing would be, like, check for the symbols, boxes, bullets, question marks that you have in your file. If you are making it in Word or PDF, anything is fine. So, but try to see that there should not be any, like, the symbols that won't be converted or won't be parsed into an ATS. We'll come back to, like, come onto ATS little later. But yeah, try to not use the symbols and the boxes, question marks, or like fancy templates. So when I started my YouTube thing, like I received around 200, 300 of resumes. So, and that resumes were like half of them were with the fancy templates of a photo of you, a table format, or a graph or logos. So that at all, like this, all things are not at all required, or they cannot pass through your ATS thing. So this is not entertained in this industry here, at least in US. So please don't use that kind of thing. So another name for that kind of things is a resume. So you have your resume, you can prepare your resume with that fancy templates, with the photo, with the logo, with graph and everything. So right. And moving further, like take the personal ownership of your resume. Like it should be you handled this thing, you did these things. Like if I try to give an example, is like I handled a team of 5, or I led a team of 5, and this got me this skills. So this also again have to be with the STAR method. So this will give the idea to the recruiters that yeah, you have done something, you have given it to the industries, and that is a good thing. You have given it to your firm, so that is a good thing. Take the personal ownership. So yeah, this is the like this is the tips and tricks I would say. So if you want to write it down, so just keep this bullets in mind, that don't use tables, graphs, or logos, anything like and use the active voice in your resume. That is also a thing. Like you should be active, yeah, active. You should be in your active voices when you are using the, like when you are writing your experience, or when you are writing your academic experience. So that is the main thing. And so one another point is, if you don't have prior experience into the same domain, that is totally fine. So I'll come again to the very first thing I said. Spend your first and the second semester in choosing a course really well. So that would give you a hands-on experience with the tools and the technologies that you are using, and that will give up something on your resume, that you have hands-on experience with this kind of things. So academic projects are very important for you guys, like for everyone. And if you have the prior experience, that is by far the best thing. That is like, that is a good thing, that you have some corporate knowledge. And so yeah, the US experience and the India corporate experience are like way too apart. So we'll come on to that things later down the line. So yeah, these are some tips and tricks about the resumes. And yeah, one very important thing, like don't use the header and footer if you are using a word file, because that does not pass through your ATS thing. So nothing from the header, nothing from the footer will be passed through ATS. So don't use that. And always try to send, if any of the recruiters ask you for the resumes, always try to send a PDF version, not the Word file. All right. So moving on to the next slide. All right. The tailoring of the resumes according to the job profile. So this is utter most important thing to do. So what I would suggest is, nowadays people have around 2-3 profiles in mind. So for me personally, it was data analytics, it was data engineering, and it was data scientist. So this were the 3 things that was in my mind during applications. So I had around 3 to 4 resumes with me according to different profiles. So that is 100% that you have to manipulate your resume, you have to tweak your resume, you have to tailor your resume according to the job descriptions and to the profile that you are applying to. So, and yeah, some of the people also have the experience with product management or program manager. So keep that one thing in mind, that you cannot apply to the application, like to the jobs with just one profile. You have to keep your areas and to your areas open into 2 or 3 profiles, I would say. So don't just stick to data analytics thing. So a better example I would give is, so if you are into data analytics, what are the best tools that you would use? So I would say the tools would be database. So Python, like Tableau, Power BI, Qlik, SAS, that are the tools that you'll use in data analytics. SQL is the best language that you can have for data analytics, for everything, basically. SQL, then a little bit of Python is needed in data analytics thing. Excel is the best thing. So if you don't know how to use Excel, start using. Not telling about the macros or the VBS, but yeah, basic VLOOKUP and everything you should know about the Excel thing. So you should know what is the job profile, what is the job description you have, and try to tweak your resume according to that thing. So if you have a good experience with data analytics and people are asking you about SQL and about Tableau, basically this all things will revolve. This all technologies will revolve around the data analytics line. So try to use whatever things are there into the job profile into your resume. Okay, so that is the basic thing. And I have seen couple of friends, and many of them have reached out to me on LinkedIn also, that what if we like copy paste whole of the job description and we paste it into the white background onto our resume. So would that like the best idea you get is it will be passed through the ATS, right? So you are matching every of the skill sets and the tools and technologies they are asking in the job description on your resume. So what I would say is no. Like, let's come to that point into the ATS section. Your ATS will pass this kind of things into a different manner. Like what I would suggest is people do these things. So please refrain from doing these things. So try to look at the job description, take your time in building the applications and like doing the applications. You don't have to just click and you can complete your application. Don't just keep your targets in mind that I have to apply for 5 or 10 applications today and one should get over by 10 or 15 minutes. No, let it take half an hour. Try to look for the job description, tweak your resumes according to the job description, the tools and technologies, what you have according to that, and that would really be helpful for it. So yeah, the best thing is tailor your resume according to the job descriptions that is mentioned in the profile. Yeah, moving on to the next slide. Okay, so this is the, like, everyone would be curious about this thing, ATS. So the mistakes that the students here do is the one thing I told, that copy pasting this job description into your resume into the white part and inking it white so that nobody can see that is the description is mentioned in your resume. So don't do that. When the ATS passes your resume, it is always passed into a different ink. So even if it is in white ink that is not seen into your resume, but it will pass through a different ink onto the paper, so you'll be caught. So when you are caught, you'll not only be banned from that industry, like you won't be allowed to apply to that industry, like you will be blacklisted, and they have that power to do anything with your candidacy. So please don't do that things. And the best trick I would say is to parse your resume from like what is your resume into your ATS. Is how you can check your resume is when you open if you have your resumes into PDF, try to copy the whole PDF content and paste it into the Word form. So whatever things you get on your Word document, that is your past resume from the ATS. So this is the best tip to get your resume parts ready, so you don't have to spend money on the ATS tools that will help you to pass your resume. This is the best trick. So try to, again I'll tell you, try to copy the whole resume, all the content from your PDF version, try to paste it into your Word file. So whatever sections you see onto your Word file, that is your past resume. And please keep that thing in mind, that it should be one pager. So don't let your resume go to 2 pages when you pass it. So try to use small spaces, and a proper format should be very important for the resume. Heading should be, what I would suggest is 12 or 14 font. If you have less things, 14 is good. If you have more things to jot down on your resumes, 12 is good. And the body, the background should be of around 11 or 10. That is by far the good practice to have on your resume. Also, when you pass your when you use this trick, so it will not pass the tabs, it will not pass the graph, it will not pass the photo, the logos, the header and footer, nothing. So ATS works in a very, like, no companies, like, they don't pay a lump sum amount, like a much higher amount for parsing of the resumes. It's like, it's very basic. They don't spend much money onto these things. So they all follow the same algorithm, the same thing. So they won't parse these things. So tabs, tables, graphs, line breaks, nothing will pass. So yeah, about the line breaks. So many of us have the habit of having underlined the basic, like the catching words, and we have the hyperlink into our resumes for the LinkedIn profile or for the emails. Please don't use that. The thing is, when it passes through the ATS, it will think as a line break, and your resume will not pass through the line. So don't use that. Refrain from using this line breaks. This is very important. So please don't use this thing, like no line breaks even after the sections that business experience is over. So let's move on to the next section. So please don't use that. So this is the good tips and tricks to go on. And about the resume at a glance. So what I would say is, like, let's start with the perspective of the recruiter. So basic tip I would like to give is, you open your resume, and whatever you can see onto your screen, that is the best, like that is the thing even the recruiter will see, right? So only that thing will be first seen by the recruiter. So try to give as much of information as much you can onto that particular screen, onto that particular area. So when you open your Word or when you open your resume, so whatever is there, whatever content is there on your screen, that is the first glance at your resume. So recruiters will decide after seeing that whether they want to move or not. So try to think it in that way, that if you have a pile of 1,000 resumes, and if you want to, if you also have a deadline, right? That you have to, if you are the recruiter, you also have the deadline that you have to like get the candidates, or like 10 to 15 candidates in like a week or 2 days or 3 days. So like nobody will give you a week to get the candidates, but yeah, so you'll have at least 1 or 2 days. But so on an average, a recruiter will spend around 5 to 7 seconds onto your resume. So don't try to like add on everything on your resume. Keep some things for yourself. We'll come to that sections later. So this is the perspective of the recruiter. So 5 to 7 seconds. So so you try this thing. Take a piece of paper. What you can see, what you can skim through in 5 to 7 seconds. That is the thing that the recruiters will see into your resume. So come up with good tools and technologies. So that's why the tweaking and the manipulating and the tailoring of their resumes according to the job description is mandatory. Try to look through the perspective of a recruiter. And the second point is how to catch the attention. So the attention is, as I said, open up the Word file, the content that you see on your screen, that is the content that recruiters will see. Try to come up with everything, whatever you have in that. So I have read somewhere, like the recruiters see the first 3 lines in your experience, or whether it is experience or the academic project. So the first 3 lines give him a hint or a idea about who you are, what you have worked on, what is your experience. So try to come up with this thing. So these are the best practices. And okay, coming to the format of the resume. So what I follow is, the first thing should be your name, your information. Don't take up much space, like don't take up much lines into your introduction part. Then you should have the summary. And okay, the summary thing is totally exceptional. And okay, so let's come on to that summary thing. I'll give you a gist of that thing. So if you have around like more than 5 years of experience, try to add on your summary. So because what the thing is, if you have more than 5 years of experience, you won't be able to jot down everything on your resume. You won't be able to add everything, every experience onto your resume. So it should give a slight hint or the idea to the recruiter that you have worked for 5 years and into this domain and these areas are strong for you. So that is the best thing. If you have, so keep this in mind. If you have 5 years, 4 years or more, write down the summary. If you have less than that, don't add on your summaries. You can easily write down your resume. You can easily include all your experience, all your academic projects, everything onto one pager if you have less than around like 3 years or 3 years of experience. So try to do this. And okay, coming back to the format, introduction, and come up with the like the education that you have. So don't add schooling in this, the bachelor's and the master's. If you have done postgraduate diploma, the PhD, that is fine. But don't come up with schooling. Nobody is interested in schooling things like how much did you get? Nobody's interested in that. So yeah, come up with bachelor's and master's. That's cool. And after that, the very important part is technical skills. Don't take your technical skills at the end of the resume after the project or after the business experience. Try to add on your technical skills above the business experience after the education. And also, so if you are from the analytical background, I would personally give you the basic idea about these three lines or three or four: analytics, science, engineering, program, or product management. So try to come up with the analytics section first, analytical tools that you have used, the program languages that you have used, databases that you have used, the software tools that you have used. So this would suffice. So this three, like 4 or 5 things would suffice in the technical skills. Also, the very important part is, so if you are going for a data analytics position or a data engineering position, don't go with HTML, CSS, C Sharp, Java. Nothing is needed. Like nobody wants to recruit the person that is well versed with this programming languages. Like good that you have the knowledge of these languages and you have experience with that language that you can add on into your business experience. We'll come back to that point. And so in the technical skills, if you're applying for these two things, just add on the analytical tools that you have used. I would give example of Python, Tableau, Power BI, Click, SAS, Excel, Advanced Excel, and for the languages are Python, SQL. That is the basic. Like everyone needs this thing, and this would 100% suffice. So try to come up with these things. So that's what the tweaking of the resume takes part. So try to do this thing. Coming onto the business experience. So I have had many questions regarding like what I don't have the prior experience into the same field. So what basic example I can give is if you have experience of around 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, that is fine. So you would have dealt with data in your Excel data in your life, right? Or SQL. SQL is the basic thing. If you are in a tech world, SQL is the basic thing. SQL is the language that you can converse with any other database. So you might have, or you would have, or you could have used these three things. So try to revolve your experience, the sentences around these parts. So if you write down something around SQL, that I've used SQL, I've used this kind of data, I have cleaned this kind of data. So if you have used Excel and you have got some data and you have to get some insights from the data, you are ought to clean the data, right, first before getting the insights. So try to do this thing. So try to come up, frame your sentences in such a way that is used for the data analytics field. So go to Google, search for the data analytics resumes, and please don't just copy paste the lines from the Google and paste it onto your resume. The sample resumes that you get, don't pick up that lines and jot down on your resume. try to frame your sentences in such a way that it revolves around the area of interest and area of the job description, whatever it is asked. So if you have data analytics, try to come up with something around data. And if you are going into data analytics field, try to learn about data warehousing. So this is very important. Data warehousing, data mining, data munging, data wrangling, data mining, everything revolves around data. So like data is a new soil right now. So try to come up, try to learn some things regarding data, try to get knowledge about how to clean data, how to model data. There are many data integration tools that is very useful. So try to do these things. And okay, so coming on to the academic projects. So after business experience, write down your academic projects also. Okay, so for the academic projects, again, the data analytics, data engineering, data science, all together, all three are different. So for data analytics, they don't need they need Python a little bit. They like even they'll need more for engineering, but for science they need everything about Python, R, and everything, this skills. So if you're going for data analytics, they want to know what analytic skills you have. So try to come up with these things into your academic projects and give that academic projects that are revolving around this field. So for data analytics, use Tableau, Power BI, SQL, Python, that programs. And if you are writing about the coding of R and Python, there are very less chances because data analytics is also people think of it as a business analytics side. So you have to deal with business as well as technical side. So when I did my internship with Schwab, it was a data analytics role, and I had to deal with the business side of Charles Schwab as well as the technical side of Charles Schwab. So the thing is, you have to give that stuff to the business that they want to see, and you have to take that stuff from the technical side that they give you. So the thing is, you are in a middle of this both the things, and you are a bridge between these two things, these two areas. So you have to be a very analytical person. So try to do these projects. So nowadays you have Kaggle, Google dataset. Take the datasets from them and try to use that dataset, clean the data, try to use that dataset into Tableau, Power BI, any language you can use Python, clean the data with Python or Excel. Excel is the best thing you can learn. And there are lots and lots of jobs with at least Tableau, SQL, and Python. So don't be disheartened that I don't know ML, I don't know R, I don't know this languages. That's okay. Try, but so don't stop your learnings there. Try to learn of this thing. So I would give my personal experience, like my example to you, that prior to coming here, I did not have chance to go through Python. So I am not into programming. So I don't want to be in that area. So prior to coming here, I did not have a chance to work with Python. And coming here, I did not use Python. Just the course that I took, that is only Python I have in this internships, and also in the full time. I'm not using Python anywhere. But in the full-time structure, they need Python. They want something like some programming language knowledge that you should have. So even if you go to LinkedIn or anywhere onto the job profiles, they would say that any one of the programming languages is needed, or it would be good to have one programming language. So try to adopt these things onto your resumes, onto your academic projects. And the last part I would say is, if you have too much of things to write down on your resume, so these 4 things would be good, like the introduction, the education, the technical skills, the business experience, and the academic projects. So these 5 are good. So the thing for me, the things with me, it went like, when I was into the internship with Charles Schwab for the summer, when I was applying there, I had one section more of the skills and the leadership or the organization I am working with, the student orgs. So it gives the management skills or the networking or the mentoring skills that you have onto your resume, that yeah, you can handle these things. You have worked with this kind of stuff. You have managed this orgs. You have handled the events. this kind of stuff. So for the internship, it's a good idea, but like after the internship, you won't have that much space to write down. So the best idea what I came up with is, so when you cannot write this experience onto your resumes, come up with these things onto the calls, onto the interview calls. So I would give a piece of advice to you guys. So when imagine that I am your recruiter and you are giving the interview. So I have your resume open onto my screen, right? So you don't go and repeat yourself, like don't just read your resume onto your calls. That is the like first thing would be tell me about yourself. So don't just go through your resume again. It is sheer waste of time for you as well as for him. And like the recruiter will lose you at the very first sight when he'll look at the resume and you are blabbering the same thing. So try to come up with other things, and that's why you should indulge in this kind of student orgs into other networking sessions. So you'll get to know how to speak, how to prepare your first sentence, how to go with the behavioral questions. That is the best thing. So try to come up with the student org thing, like I have handled these things, I have handled the events. So this kind of stuff really help to talk about onto your interview call. You will grab the attention of the interviewer, of the recruiter, that yeah, he has done something onto like with his career. So that is the good thing. Apart from everybody knows, everybody has your resume onto the screen. So don't just go around with your resume thing and waste his like 15 minutes on to tell me about yourself. Go about these things. Have these things aside when you are giving your interviews. Prepare this stuff. So don't. It's a little trick thing. Like don't add on these things. I would like I have suggested to many of the students, like don't add on these skills onto your resume so that you have something to talk about on to the call. That is the best thing. All right. So moving on to the next thing. Yeah. So now the LinkedIn approach. So by far, I would say that LinkedIn has been the good buddy for me to apply to get the calls, do whatever thing is like for the full time before this COVID happened. I had around like 12 interviews, 12 calls, and that was with the like giants, Walmart, AWS, JP Morgan, Amazon, Audible, CVS. So they were good. They were good calls, but then hiring froze, then everything like nothing worked out. So try to use this feature of LinkedIn. Try to get LinkedIn Premium if you don't have. Like the LinkedIn members are right now giving away like this 6 months of subscription. And if you don't get anyone to give this subscriptions, try to buy it. It's like just $30. You can buy it. So try to get that subscription, and it will be really helpful. So this cold emails I'm talking about, that will be a part of the LinkedIn Premium feature. So this is a very good idea about the cold emails. So try to frame your cold emails way ahead, like when you are starting the application. Try to come up with the cold email. So when if you haven't gone through my video on YouTube about the applications of LinkedIn, you can go and watch that thing. So regarding this cold emails, when you go onto the job profile, you start applying, you are done with your applications, then you can find whoever the recruiter is, and you will find an send email button there. So click on that. You have your cold email ready. Try to come up with and try to add on your resume there so that the recruiter will can easily have a glance at your resume. And also don't forget to add on your job ID or the request ID that you have applied to the job position. So try to use that request ID. Try to come up with the things like I have applied to so and so, and I would be eager to learn more about the opportunities. Don't just send a blank and cold email that I want the job. No, you don't have to sound that desperate that you need a job. Try to build the relation first, that is coming into the network building session. like the next point. But in the cold emails also, like be somewhat generous. Try to come up with the first line is hope you are doing well, and I won't take much of your time. I would just need like five minutes of your time to look through my application. I have applied to this so and so thing, and this is the request ID, and I think I am a best fit for you. So try to review my profile. That's it. Like you don't have to don't have to ask for the job. So don't do that. That is a way of cold emailing. And in the network building. So yeah, in the network building, the first thing I would say about networking is take part in the student orgs. That is the best thing. You'll get to know so many people in the student orgs, and you'll get to get the ideas about the events. You'll get to learn new things about the people. You'll learn speakers speak about the corporate knowledge and whatever things are there. So do that thing. Try to network at your school. That is the best thing. And if that is done, attend the events that are free of cost. That are every like you see that things on posted on LinkedIn about the free things like free sessions, webinars. Try to attend that, even if that are not of your area of interest, not of your line. Try to attend. That will what this will do is it will try to open you up how to speak, how to come up with your knowledge and how to talk, how to network. So also, like after attending your events in the schools and student talks and taking part in the student talks, try to go to the career expos. I know that career expos, like nobody gets call from the career expos, but I've seen people getting the calls from the career expos. I personally did not get any calls from the expos, but one thing is I got to know, like I have attended all three career expos. Last one was cancelled. I have attended all three career expos in my life in my 2 years of masters. Try to attend. You'll get to know what you have to speak. You'll be well versed with your elevator speech. So right now, if I tell any one of you to come up with the elevator speech, like speak about 5 or 10 minutes, you won't be able to. You won't, even if you have like 3 years of experience, you won't be able to sum up everything into like 1 minute. You don't have much time to sell yourself. So best thing keep in mind is you have to sell yourself. Selling yourself is very important, and you can sell yourself with the elevator speech. Nothing else will work. You will hand over your resume. He or she will scheme your resume. That's it. That is done. He'll remember you when you give your elevator speech, when like they get to know you other than the resume. So career expos will definitely build you, give you good idea about how to build the elevator speech. So try to do this. And approaching the recruiters is again the networking thing, that don't just build the relationships. Don't just go for like I need a job. And even right now, like we have COVID going around, so like many of the companies are not hiring and nothing is working out. So don't be disheartened. Like build the relations. This is the good time. Learn something. Every of the portals, they are with us. Like Coursera is giving free stuff now. Udemy is giving free stuff. Try to come up with try to get some certifications. Try to build networking things. So this is the good time. Try to learn something new. So approaching the recruiters is same, like try to build networks, connections with them. If they go, so the first thing is go through their profile. Go through their profile. If you get some good alignment with your area of interest, with what career path you are choosing or you want to go in, then that is the best thing, right? So you have a common topic to talk about. So go with that. Try to do these things, and then you will build a relationship with the recruiter, and that would be a good point. So what personal experience I had is when I got the full-time calls, like I got around 12 calls for the full-time. I received 5 or so from LinkedIn recruiters. They approached me directly through LinkedIn. So if you go through my LinkedIn profile, like you can see that I'm not like doing like something like, but you can see that the profile is built very well. So first things is build your profile up to the mark. Don't like there is a all-star thing into LinkedIn. Try to achieve all the all-star all things into your profile. You have to achieve that and try to come up with the skills. Try to add on your the certifications, your experiences, your summary, and the header of the LinkedIn should be crisp and precise what you are up to, what you're looking for, whether you're open or whether you're not. That is the best thing. So approach the recruiters like this. So a personal example that I experienced, I would say that I received a call from a recruiter of JP Morgan last week, and they like I can show you the message to or mail to, like they approached me through LinkedIn and they say that you have an excellent profile built onto your LinkedIn, and we want someone around this area and this knowledge. So we would like to whether you are available for learning about this opportunity. Yeah. So I did not straight away got the job or a call for the job, but they were interested in me. So in this way, you can build your relationships, and who knows, you can get the job from LinkedIn. So that I think that would be the best idea. So approach recruiters in this way. And one thing, keep in mind, don't reach out to them on Saturdays and Sundays. They have their personal life. Reach out to them on weekdays. Don't reach out to them on weekends. So like they don't have time. They have families too, right? Even if they don't have family, they need some personal time. So I would give them space. So reach out to them in the weekdays. Yeah. Moving on to the next slide. So yeah, the corporate knowledge about the experience, you have it in India and in US. So it's way too different. So when I was selected for my first project with TCS, I obviously you won't have any prior experience or knowledge into what tools and technologies they are using. So I got around 2 months of KT, that we call as a knowledge transfer thing. So 2 months they spent on me for getting to know about the tools and the technologies, the structure that they are using into their company, the firm, everything. So that would not be the case here. So when I went for my first internship, so I just had one piece of paper with the problem statement written, and I had to come up with this thing after 2 months. I had to complete. Like for sure, you can reach out to as many people as you want onto your company, like who are sitting besides or whoever you want to reach out. But yeah, you would not be spoon feeded anything into the corporate world here. So they would straight away believe that you know everything about the tools, technologies, you know how to work. So the basic ideas and the experience they would give is how to attend the meeting, how to like jot a mail, how to talk about in a meeting, how to do the like info interviews, that are kind of how to network into the job market. That's it, into the firm. So the experience in both the things is way too different. Even not in India, like if you have worked anywhere else, I have seen a couple of resumes working in like Dubai, London, anywhere. So yeah, everywhere the work culture is different. But if you are planning to stay here, get a job here, you have to follow this standard method that you will be given a problem statement, no KTs for like 2 months or not even 1 month, not even a week. Try to come up with the things in 2 months. You have a deadline. So that's it. This is the experience. So why the experience in US is necessary is like there's like no a proper answer to these things, but yeah, you need a experience in US. That is, if you have a full-time goal here, like you want to stay here, you want to gain some good experience here, then yeah, working in US is good. So if you don't have prior experience, if you don't have any internship, so this basically is for the full-time employees, full-time applicants. So if you don't have the prior experience with the internships or anything, try to come up with the academic projects. Try to get involved yourself with the student orgs. get some speakers, take the ownership that I'll get this speaker, I'll talk with this speaker, I'll get this speaker from so and so company. So you'll get to know how to talk with them, how to jot a mail to them, how to drop a mail to them, how to have a phone conversation with them. So try to do this. I know many of the people, many of my friends who don't know, like who started having a corporate knowledge here, experience here, and they don't know how to draft an email. So this is very important. So try to learn the soft skills. So these soft skills are very important. So what my manager told me when I started my internship is, this was with Sprint. It was like, this is 80% of your communication skills and your soft skills and 20% of your technical skills. So you don't need much of your technical skills, but you need like 80% of your soft skills, how you present yourself, how you give the presentations, how you talk, how you network, how you converse, how you articulate the thing. Like if a very small sentence is there, if you are not able to articulate it in a good way that the layman can understand, it's not the thing. So always try to give the interview when you are giving the interviews. Try to think that the recruiter is a layman, like he doesn't understand the technical terms. So what he wants to learn about you is how much knowledge of corporate thing you know, how you will be able to handle this stuff, whether that like this all are the behavioral questions, that if some problem comes, how we'll be able to face it. So these all things matter. They don't know, they hardly know about any technical stuff. So try to give your interviews in this manner. All right, moving on to the next slide. All right, converting internship to full time. So this is uttermost like a very important thing. So, all right. So searching, I'll go with the last thing, searching for full time versus converting your internship. So when you have the internship, that is like your 3 months or 2 months. Basically, we have to do like 10 to 12 weeks. So that is 10 to 12 weeks is your face-to-face interview with the manager. So try to give your best shot in your internships. Don't worry about the applications of the full time. And yes, you have to do, but you have to manage the time as well. So don't come up with like, I don't have time to come up with the applications and I don't have time to go on fully with the thing. So yeah, try to do these things. Try to come up with good networking with your managers. Try to give your 100% with the these things with your internship. That is your face-to-face interview itself. You can understand it as an interview thing. So try to do these things. Second thing is converting your internship is very important. When you are going to apply for your full-time internships, it will be very hard. Like you have to go through around 4 sets of interviews, and they'll grill you on everything. They'll grill you on all the technical skills, all the behavioral rounds, everything. So do the things, like don't think that they are not converting. Like try to give your best shot. That's what I would like to say. Try to give. Like it's very difficult to get that. We have that myth in our mind that getting a full time is very easy than converting a internship or getting an internship. No. So try to come up and try to convert your the internships into full time, because once you are into the full time phase, it becomes very difficult. So my personal experience is, I like Charles Schwab does sponsor H1B, does hire for the like F1 students, but for me it depended on to the team. So it depends on the project budget. So the team I was into was analytical and business intelligence team, and they did not have the budget to for the full time for the sponsor. So I was not given a full time opportunity there. So it totally depends on to the project and on to the team. Though like you will face this stuff from your friends that they do hire, they do give opportunities to the F1, they hire, they sponsor H1Bs. But yeah, when you are into the firm, you only know how does that thing goes. So don't be disheartened from your friends that they said that this company is hiring and they did not give me, because you know how the company deals with. So it depends on your particular project and on your manager and your team. If they doesn't have the funding, they won't give you the full-time opportunity. So yeah, that is the case. So try to build the network. So if you don't have the opportunity with your team, you can get the opportunity with the another team if they are ready to hire you. That is the case, because with me it happened, like many of my friends, I've heard that they were not given the full time with that team, but they got given the full time with another team into the same firm. So yeah, this does happen. So this, like, take that thing in mind, that your internship is your full time interview, and try to give it your best shot. That's it. So moving on to the next thing. All right, let's move on to the question and answer session.
Hi guys. There are a lot of huge questions and very good questions. So one of the important question I got during this is, what's up? When asked in the application process, will you need a sponsorship in the future? Do you answer no because it is an internship and we have 3 years OPT after that?
Right.
Or we put yes because if they want to take us from a full time and they want to consider us for a sponsorship.
So for this question, I would say is for internship, I would personally suggest don't say yes that you need the sponsorship as of now. So the basic thing is, like, you have 3 years of OPT after that. So if you are doing your internships, you won't know that after 3 years what are your circumstances. Like whenever you get an interview, at that time you can make your stories like. I have thought of going back to my country and serve there, and I have some family things. And after 3 years, I would like to go back to India and from wherever you are and work there. So for the internships, please don't, like, I would suggest is don't say yes. You can straight away say no, and you can move forward with that thing, with that question.
Okay, thank you, Itsav. Another question is, how important are certifications from Coursera, etc., to put it on the resume?
So I would suggest is the Coursera, Udemy. So if there are paid ones that are truly important, if they are not the paid ones, you can add that certifications onto your LinkedIn profile. The resume thing, it would so if you, I would give example is like if you have an AWS certification or MS 100 or the Power BI certification, Microsoft thing, Snowflake, anything, that kind of certifications which are paid one, that are definitely used onto the resumes. But if they are not the paid ones, because see, everyone can do the free certifications on Coursera or on any of the platforms. So try to come up with these certifications onto your LinkedIn profile. Build your profile in a way that you have this kind of skills. Everybody, see, when you are called for an interview, you will get to know that the recruiter or somebody from the firm that have that they have viewed your profile. So you'll get to know that obviously they give importance to LinkedIn. So when you are also giving your interviews, you try to gain some knowledge of the recruiter too. So you also have to go to the LinkedIn profile of that recruiter, try to get some knowledge from there. So definitely certifications are a good way to go for the LinkedIn profile, but I would suggest that if you have good certifications, try to add on to the technical skills that you have. But if you don't have, like if you have the certifications of Coursera or Udemy, try to add that things into LinkedIn, not on the resume.
Hi, Utsav. There is another good question for you. What if you have many projects and you can't fit them on resume? Is it advisable to add a GitHub link for the project? What's your
that is perfect. That is advisable to add a GitHub link onto your resume. So as I said, don't add the hyperlink on your resume. Just add on your GitHub link onto the introduction section after your name and after your LinkedIn profile or email, anything. So try to do that so that recruiters can, like, this is the thing that you can talk about on your calls that you have, but definitely you have to show some hands-on experience that you have onto your resume. Like academic projects, you have to show the relevant projects onto your resume that they can catch their eye onto your resume. Like in 5 or 7 seconds, I personally wouldn't go onto the GitHub site and look for your resumes or look for your projects. So try to come up with something onto your resume that is, so resume is your face. Try to keep this in mind. So try to come up with these things. So you have to have good projects, like academic projects that are relevant onto your resume. If you have a lot many resumes, like lot many academic projects, try to come up with that things onto the GitHub link onto your resume, and that you can talk about in your calls when you get there.
Another question for you is how to keep a resume page short, like for people with 10 years of experience. Should I remove the initial entry level experience to keep my resume one page short?
Correct. So for like, see, I am like just 4 years of experience, so I wouldn't be able to say about the 10 years of experience person, but I would suggest is go like, as I said, like we need the summary for more than 4 years of experience. So try to add on your summary. I'm pretty sure that for 10 years you won't be in the same line or into the same business. So try to come up with the summary, an objective line that you have this much years of experience, and a relevant experience is of 3 years or like 7 years or like 4 years. So that will give just to the recruiters that yeah, you have around 10 years of experience into the market, and you have like around 4 to 5 years or around like full 10 years with the analytics or engineering or data science projects or the like. Yeah.
Hi, Utsav. There is another question regarding technicality. If during an interview, if someone will ask what challenges you have faced with Python or Tableau, but in reality you have done only academic projects with Python and Tableau, how to answer this kind of question?
So if you have done only the academic projects onto your, like in the interviews, so you have to straight away tell them that yeah, I have this much experience with academic projects. And see, academic project is your corporate hands-on. It's equal to corporate hands-on experience. So what academic project is, the whole, like you get the problem statement, you work on it, and you get the end results. So that is kind of corporate job that we do right now in the companies. So try to come up with the things like the challenges that you have faced when you got the project. How did you clean the data? How did you learn about the language? How did you come up with the insights from learning these tools? When you got some difficulty into these things, like with some data or something, then you came, what solutions did you get from that thing? So they don't want a full corporate knowledge or full hands-on experience you should have with the corporate thing. They just want to know that you are able to understand the problem statement. How is your problem solving skill? How do you come up with the insights? How do you deal with the problems that you are facing? That's it. So don't be like worried that if you're asked about the things that you don't know, and please don't fake yourself into the interviews. They'll straight away get to know that obviously you are faking, like you don't know this yet, you don't have the knowledge about these things. So they'll immediately get to know about this. So if you have the knowledge, then you can move forward.
That's great advice, Utsav.
Yeah.
Next question is, my work experience is not related to analytics and I do not have any internship. How do I tackle a full-time?
Okay, so if you are into data analytics field, like if you want a job into data analytics field, so what is analytics? So first of all, ask a question to yourself, what is analytics? So remove the data part. What is analytics? So analytics is you get some insights from whatever data you have, whatever things, whatever problem statement you have. So if you don't have the so say for example, you have knowledge about mechanical stuff or about electronic stuff or anything, you might be dealing, or you would have dealt with some kind of data, right? So if you have a good experience with electronics or mechanical or electrical stuff, add on only just 1 or 2 lines of your business experience with that, though you have like 5 years or 3 years of experience with electronic stuff, and try to come up with the academic projects that you have. So everything is revolving around back to the first and the second semesters. Try to come up with the courses that are too relevant to your data line. So if you're trying to switch your line from electronics to data analytics, so 100% you might have dealt with some data there. So that is your analytical skill. So every line has a backstory, every experience has a backstory. So try to deal it with in this way, that if you are asked for a data analytics perspective, you come up with the things of data analytics thing. If you are asked to say about the same thing into electronic form, you will say the same thing into electronic field line. So try to frame your sentences in such a way that you are able to deal with both the markets. So if you are in electronic market, you have dealt with their stuff, you have the knowledge with that, so you can go ahead with that. But if you're trying to come up into the data analytics field, so you would have dealt with data, that is for sure. That like some way or the other way you might have worked in the data field, you have got some data about the electronic things, of the electrical things or the mechanical things. So you can frame your sentences in such a way and try to come up, if you have still doubts with your resume, try to come up with the experience of electronics, electrical or mechanical in a very short 2 or 3 lines. That's enough. And try to do some certifications, do some academic projects, and yeah, that would be sufficient for you.
Utsav, it's the last question, since we have a huge pool of questions.
Yeah.
This question I feel is due to the current situation, fall 2020 joining from their respective countries, what will be your suggestion for these students with regard to internship search, how they should approach employers, and what changes they must make in their search strategy than normal and traditional strategy where Corona was not new normal? Yes, you can go ahead.
Can you repeat the question? Like I lost you in the first line.
Okay, what will be your suggestion for these students with regards to internship search, how they should approach employers, and what changes they must make in their search strategy than normal and traditional strategy?
Got it. So the normal strategy that we applied before the COVID and right now, I would say it's the same. So everywhere there is a curve for the jobs, so you have to hit that curve. Right now, the companies that are not hiring, that is like transportation, like the hospitality firms or the tech, like whichever field they're not hiring into. So the other side of the curve is the companies that are hiring. So the companies that are hiring is the logistics firms like the Amazon. They have technical stuff of ITM, like data science, data engineering, data analytics. Hit that curve. So in that curve, the companies fall, like Amazon, the banking sector, everybody is at home, so everyone is using everything online. The Walmart is hiring, CVS is hiring, pharmaceutical firms everywhere is hiring. So if the airline industries is just an example, if the airline industries and the hospitality industries is down, the other industry is up, like Amazon, Walmart, CVS, pharmaceuticals, everything. So try to hit that curve. Into the search strategy is try to apply. So nobody saw this coming, right? So we have to hang in there. There are lots and lots of jobs opening, like they'll be open in September. Like we are hearing these things from our firms that we are opening the offices and we are getting, like we are hiring now. The hiring is not freeze now. So from September, it will start, hopefully like September, October. So try to build your relations, I would say. Try to build networks. Try to reach out the recruiters in this way that you don't need a job right now. You can build your relation and you can get the jobs later on. They'll remember you if you have a good relation with your manager, with the recruiter. So try to build your relations right now. Try to build your profile right now. Try to come up with the certifications. Try to learn the things that you haven't learned. So for me personally, I have started learning Python. I have started learning R, started learning machine learning. So start the things. So even I am right now in the corporate world, I am learning these things. So definitely, if you are right now in the schools, you can definitely go on and start learning new things. So try to come up with things, build your profile, and that would really helpful. Like, don't be helpful. Don't get disheartened. Jobs will be opened. Like nobody saw. Like again, nobody saw this coming. So don't lose hopes. Try to be consistent, try to come up with the experience, try to come up building your profiles, and keep the same strategy of applying. Like nowadays we have a line of actively hiring or actively recruiting on LinkedIn. So use these things, like go to LinkedIn, try and type like hiring currently or recently hiring or actively hiring. This kind of phrases help. So it will show. And we have three things on two tabs on to LinkedIn. When you go to search thing, that you want to search this hiring managers or actively hiring things into job or into market or into people. Go to people, look for the people, go to send them the connection request, add a little note. Like don't send the request to LinkedIn recruiters or to any of the profiles without sending you a note. That is the best. Like you'll get to know the people well. Like it will give a good first impression to them that yeah, you matter the thing. Like it is mattering you that you are building the connection, and get one sentence, like write one sentence into it that our goals align, like we are working on the same thing, and like that. Don't just straight away get give a connection and I need a job. Like don't be this desperate. That's it.
Okay, Utsav, we
Sorry,
will be.
that's the last question, and you can continue on.
Thanks, Murali. Yeah, Rakesh.
So we will be moving ahead with the resume critique session, and here's the first resume.
Okay, so starting with the first resume. So looking at the first resume, you can see that there is a lot of white space after your introduction, your education, everything, right? So we don't need these white spaces. So you can try to come up with your introduction, like your phone number, your email, and then your LinkedIn profile. You can come up with these things into one line. Yeah, you cannot waste your this page. Like after you get some experiences, you'd understand what is like. You cannot waste these lines. What is the need for these lines? So try to not waste the white spaces. Like no recruiter would like see the white spaces and get a good impression of you. So don't try to come up with this. The education looks fine. So don't leave the space between the bachelor's and the master's thing. You can sum up into one para. That is fine. The business experience. Let's move on to the first line. So manage a team of 5. So you have used the STAR method. That is good. And you have used what tools you have used, you have increased. Okay, so try to come up with the result. That is like 25% increase in the sales quotation. Try to come up with this at the very end. So you have managed a team, you have got this task, you have used these tools, and you come up with this result. So the second point of using Tableau, making the dashboards and you getting the insights of sales by 30%, that is good. So try to come up with these skills. And yeah, the first 2 points you can make these changes. The third is good. So one piece of advice is it's not for you, it's general. Like don't come up with the abbreviations. Like nobody would understand what does that mean. So always to try to come up with full forms. So like the fourth point, you have bill of material. So it's good that you have written bill of material and not BOM. So that is a good part. The recognized. Okay, so this looks good. The first business experience looks good, and So if you have good things onto your resume, if you have like more experience to write down, so it's I think this is 2017 to 2019. It's like 2 years of experience. So keep that thing in mind that if you have 2 years of experience, you can add on to like 4 points. I would say don't go much deeper into the points or add on to the more lines. Try to sum up everything into like your 2 to 3 lines. But right now, if you are applying your for your internships, you can go ahead with mentioning of all your experience into the skills. That is a good thing. So moving on to the next experience, assistant quality manager, handle. Okay, so the handled customers during product inspection, you can move this line to last. You try to come up with the numerics and with the star method lines first. So what I said that when you open the resume and the first 3 lines are way too important, it shows what tools and technologies that you have used, what you are into, which area you are into. So try to do that. Take the first line to the third point, and even the second one, answered all the queries from the customer side. So so this is a generic thing, right? So you answered all the queries from the customer side on a call. So everyone can do that. Everyone can do that. Sorry. So yeah. So remove that point. Instead, you can try to frame your sentence in some another way, that you handle the client into some another way, like you got some insights from the calls, you got some problem and you solved that problem with these things with the calls. That is the thing. So like answering to the queries from the customer side on call, that is a bit generic thing. So try to remove that point, and then you are good to go. So can you scroll a bit down towards the competitions? Okay. So yeah, so see what I told, the technical skills, sorry, I went to the next point. The technical skills should not be down, should be up. And one thing you all guys keep in mind, that you should know each and every word of your resume. Like if you have written C++, C, so even the recruiter is not from that background, he can pull up, he can straight away go to the next tab. He can he can write one question onto C++ and he can fire it to you. So if you don't know that thing, then it's all in vain. So it will not take you anywhere. So for this particular resume, if you're applying for data science, data engineering, data analytics, don't add on the C++ things that is not needed. And the tools, so you can go with analytical tools, the statement of analytical tools. You might have used databases, so you can add on the database here. Softwares, you keep softwares and programming languages as a different, like segregate both the things. And yeah, additional information is not at all needed. So eligibility is needed for the internship. After that, you are good to go. You don't have to. You can straight away tell them these things on the calls. That is okay. So try to jot down these points, guys. So language is not needed. So it's like nobody will talk to you in Gujarati or Hindi or Marathi. That is not needed. So this language is important in this corporate world if you know Spanish or if you know French, anything. So this language is kind of important because you'll get clients from this part of the world, this country. So if you're good, or like if you are fluent with that things, that is good to write. If you're not fluent and you can just you just know 2 or 3 sentences, that is not needed. So if you are kept in that position, then you'll not be able to justify that. So no client is from Gujarati. So no client is from Gujarat, or nobody will talk to you in Hindi or Marathi. So please keep clients in mind or your work culture in mind. So language thing is not required. Coming on to the competitions section. Okay, ISA managed these things. So even manage activities. So you can come up with the star method in this too, that you manage these things. What was the result of the event? How did you guys do in this event? So that kind of things you can do in this events thing too. Okay, informs you manage various networking events along with other team members in order to provide satisfactory informative environment. Okay, so see, everyone can do these things. Like even if I'm not a officer or I'm not into any of the this student orgs, I can write these things, right? Nobody's going to come to like nobody's going to reach out to the president of this IAS to Shiv that is he working with you? Is it the operations officer with you or not? So don't come up with these points. If you have good point to put it on, like again with the STAR method, the insights, and it was good, like you handled the event of around 150 plus employees and this and that. So these things, as I told, this will give you a good thing to speak about onto your calls. So if you don't have good stuff to write here, you can add on your academic projects. Like I can see like no projects have been added onto your resume, so nobody will know that you have done the projects or not, whether you are studying or not. Just from the application, like education, I cannot get that point. So instead of giving this information of competition, leadership, and organization, so you come up with the section of academic projects and try to mold your resume into that way, because you'll have good things to talk about this organization when you get a call from them. So the academic projects will give you a slighter edge that you have worked on these tools and you have good hands-on with this, because for the academic projects we normally work for like 4 to 5 months, so that is a good hands-on experience. Yeah, we can move on to the next one. Okay, so for this summary, so if you have, as I said, if you have more than 4 years, add on to your summary. If you don't add your summary. So it's like wasting your 4 lines, like 1 of the space and 3 lines that you have added. So, and graduate student in information technology management with more than 3 years. So graduate student with information technology management, it is redundant with Master of Science in information technology and management. So that is redundant, right? Like it is duplication of the line, and you're wasting, like you wasted my 3 seconds and you also wasted your 3 lines. So don't add that thing. So it's giving me nothing, like you haven't specified anything into your summary. So don't add the things. Moving on to the education. So you have 3 education. It's good to add 1, like a point in there, like leave 1 space between that things. Good. Analytical tools. Good. Programming languages, database, certifications. Perfect. So Oracle. Good. Data analytics fundamental by AWS. If that is this data analytics fundamentals by AWS is this 3.5 hours of course, please remove it. Everybody knows this course is just of like 3.5. So data camp, this LinkedIn learning, nobody's interested in these things. So if you have the AWS certification is good. If this Oracle SQL is Oracle 11G, good to write. Otherwise, don't add the certifications. All right, moving on to the professional experience, software engineer. It asks global IT solutions. Don't write this full thing. You can just go on with ATAS. Everybody knows ATAS. So yeah, designed and analyzed. Okay, so everybody can recall that point that this is, so the first point is very generic, right? Everybody knows, like even I have designed and analyzed Excel based dashboard reports that shows monthly service ticket, these things. So even my, like I have an FU of 10 years, even he can write these things. How you can justify these things, right? You cannot. So like every point for you should be with the STAR method. It's good that you have you have made the bold like words. You have used Excel, Tableau, KPI. It doesn't need to be bold. management and project reports in SAP. So remove the bold from management and project reports. SAP, it will give a good idea that you have worked in SAP. That is a good domain to start on. So you have a good knowledge as that, like you have gained a good experience. So Excel dashboards, Tableau dashboards, SAP Crystal report dashboards, SQL spreadsheets, data modeling, delivery excellence. So that is good. So one thing that comes into my mind is, if I work for 3 years and if they are of like all 3 different projects, different clients, that I would have worked on 3 different tools for the same thing. So you have made Excel dashboards, you have made Tableau dashboards, you have made SAP Crystal reports. That is also a dashboard. So try to think into the perspective of the clients, of the recruiter, of the firm, that no firm will give you 3 platforms to work onto the same things. Are you getting my point? Like, is it making sense? So you have done 3 things into this, like for the same thing, right? Dashboards, dashboards, dashboards. So try to, you can manipulate these things into 3 experience. Like, one, I have made Excel with SQL, Tableau with Python, SAP Crystal reports. It's altogether a different technology. That is good point. So I would have selected the resume if it would have given me all 3 different scenarios, or 3 different teams and 3 different things like Tableau, Excel, and SAP. But here, like, in April 2016 to July. So 3 years you have done this thing. So yeah, try to think in the perspective of the recruiters too. Academic projects. So, all right, even I have worked with this, performed clustering analysis which came in. So what did I get from that? Nothing. So academic projects, you're all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have gained nothing from this academic project. So straight away, like you try to look at your resume and you see that other than the things highlighted, what things can you get for you? Nothing, right? You don't have anything numeric in this. You don't have any insights on the resume. Try to come up with the insights. Try to come up with the STAR method. Everything should revolve around the STAR method. So one sentence is in itself a project. So you have done these things. What is the situation, task, action, and the result? So try to do these things. All right. Moving on to the next.
Guys and Utsav, this will be the last resume that will be critiqued. We are really sorry because of time constraints. We are not able to entertain all the resumes and all the questions. So post this the new resume that will be critiqued, we will be ending the session, and all your questions and the people whose resumes were not critiqued will be answered definitely. You can mail us at utdallas.is@gmail.com and we'll make sure that we get back to you. Thank you.
Yeah. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can also look for the YouTube videos that I've made. You'll get a proper gist and proper highlights of what we are doing. And I definitely will review your resume if you send on to me on my LinkedIn or even to IS mail. I'll be connected with them and I'll review your resumes. All right, so moving on to this resume, you have a lot of information on the first line. That's good. And education expected. So don't write expected. May 2021 is not yet here. So we get to know that it is yet to come. So don't write expected. Specialization, don't write that minor thing. So major, we know ITM. So don't write that minor thing. It's good. Okay, so Fab 18, Fab 19, don't write this. Try to come up with full 2018-19 thing that would give a good first impression. Technical skills will go a bit faster with this resume. So if we can do one more, that's okay. So with the programming skills, it's good. Machine learning algorithms, okay, you can make this machine learning thing, but see, for this, like I have too much of things to digest. Looking at the first glance. So you have like Python, R, Java, Scala, JavaScript, and you get to know like right the this all five are different languages. Nothing like everything has nothing in common. So machine learning algorithms, data analytics, you have inferential statistics, hypothetical testing, data mining. So try to come up with some tools, and what I would suggest is don't give this much of information like straight away. I would so one piece of advice is people are getting the rejections because like you have too much of experience. So if I can see from your experience, like you have just 1 year of experience, and you cannot know all these things. Even if you know, you are like you cannot be well versed with all of these things. So try to tweak or manipulate your resume according to the job descriptions 100%, because not every job profile will need this everything. Like you know everything, like look for yourself, like you know Python, R, Java, Scala, JavaScript. So even I know everything, but you cannot write everything onto the technical skills or onto the experience. So if you would have good like 3 years of experience, I would definitely write these things, but not with 1 year of experience. You cannot know this many things. So no recruiter will be able to digest these things. And one thing, please don't mention your Chicago pin code up there. That is not needed. Just mention your number, ID, LinkedIn, and GitHub. That is okay. Your location preference is not needed. Okay, moving on to the business experience, teaching assistants for this. Write down how many students you handled, what did you do. Like one thing we have, one perspective we have in mind is the teaching assistants don't take any subjects. They just check the papers. So try to come up with something new. Every recruiter knows what teaching assistant do. So try to do something new. Okay, Tata Communications has, so all the 3 points are very generic. Try to come up with star method. So guys, everything is revolving around the star method. Try to come up with the thing. So the projects in the third, like the third and fourth, the point, second and fourth point, you have something, some insight. So it straight away caught my eyes with 200 plus CTA sites. So what is CTA? You have numeric, but then again, like my interest went down with the CTA, because I don't know what is CTA. And 85.22% of matrix, that is good. So do these things. Try to come up with the star method thing. So like other projects, you have the star methods. So bike sharing, you have the star. So with handwritten digital recognition, you have star method. Good. So you have good projects. Try to articulate these things into a good manner and try to manipulate your resume into a good analytical skill. That's it. We can move on to next, or we can be done.
Hi, Utsav.
Over to you guys. Yeah.
We don't have a lot of time right now, so
No problem.
we will have to cut it down a bit.
No
We are
problem.
really
No
sorry,
problem.
all of y'all. But as I mentioned earlier, you can always mail your resumes, and you can directly reach out to Utsav as well. So over to you, Utsav.
Yeah, all right. So thank you guys. Thank you for getting me, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. And to all the attendees who joined, thank you. Thank you for joining and listening to me for like 2.5 hours, 2 hours. It's much of time, but thank you for planning this time. And also again, thanks a lot to IS Society to do this thing and to conduct these events. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Utsav. It was a great informative session, and you gave us a lot of information. And yeah, it was through my personal experience. It was like it felt for me like it happened the first time. We first took the meeting with you, and you were giving so much good information that after the call we were like, yeah, we need to have a session with this guy. He tells us a lot of things which are genuine advice and very much needed. So I think that points we achieved today are about like the different approaches to land an internship, and we also like the thing that you shared your tips and tricks with us. Also, yeah, personally, I like the thing where you personally critique the resume. That was very helpful. Like exactly what people get to understand from the information, like what are the things they have to do. But sometimes they need to see the exact thing where it is wrong, where it is going crazy. And so, yes, that was a very good point from the session. And for though these webinars are the new tool to everyone, I think that my whole team has done a very hard job to bring this event up to you guys. So yeah, I appreciate them a lot. I personally want to thank Rakesh, Natasha, Sanjana, Mehul, Anne, Spurti, Kavya, Harshita, Rishabh, and the whole social media and everyone out there who was promoting our event. That was such a great help. And of course, thank you for the support, Professor Jason, and also the audience. So yeah, now for the time to go for call for the action, and please follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn to get updates about more such events. And please give us feedback. You will see a QR code right in your screen. You can scan it and give us the feedback. It is very important for us to get that feedback, because yeah, they are very valuable suggestion. Like last time we got a feedback about the time and the length of our session. So we have worked on both that session, both that things. And yeah, please don't be disheartened by the fact that we are not able to cover all the resumes and answer all the questions. We'll come up with something and make sure that we will at least get all the resumes that we have. We will come up with something and get it critiqued somehow and get back to you. That I can assure of. And yes, please give us feedback. Thank you. This screen will stay on for next 3 to 4 minutes. And yeah, stay safe and peace out.